they knew they got pushed around and kicked in the mouth against the Ravens, and they were like, okay, like not again. And it was nice to see, especially from a schematic piece too, like they were attacking, there were some run blitzes, they were selling out a bit against the run, they were gapped out. It was nice to see how activated they were when it came to Dorian Williams. Like he's out there taking on Laramie Tunsil and Shaq Mason and sticking them, like letting him play forward with, beautiful as the slide comes up there, timing and violence. And really, Eric, the biggest thing we always talk about with him, the athleticism is there, the physicality, the violence, the way he plays at the tackle point. His biggest thing is processing and reading and diagnosing. I thought they did a good job kind of taking some of that away from him in this game and just being like, hey, bro, go forward, see ball, get ball, attack the ball, attack linemen, and just go be physical and athletic.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of these first two plays are plays that the Ravens got big plays with Derrick Henry off, and so they were prepared. And I like your point about what they did with Dorian. He was playing downhill. You see some of these run blitzes. They're like, you know what? We're going to send him to blow things up, to create chaos. He's resetting the line of scrimmage right here versus Laramie Tunsil, and then he's finding the ball. So he creates that separation. He creates that destruction and chaos and goes and finds the ball. He played with a different level of violence that we don't normally see from the Bills linebackers. Their linebackers are more heady, finesse, speed type guys.
Yeah.
He brings something different when it comes to violence, and we're starting to see the game slow down for him. You see him playing and following the ball, but he's also playing off the D tackle here, who the Bills picked up last week. And so that D tackle, initially, you see him, and he's on the left side of that blocker. He's beating the block. Well, now that's going to make that running back cut back across the face as the D tackle blows things up. So Dorian processes that and goes and gets the ball. He did a great job of playing fast, the game slowing down for him, but he also is reading the ball and the defensive lineman in front of him, which when we're talking linebackers, that is a huge part of stopping the run.
Absolutely. Being able to properly fit your gap, but then also fit off of what's happening in front of you to make sure you're not sitting with two guys in the same gap and be able to stay sound from a gap integrity standpoint. I like your point of how he plays in comparison to, like Milano and Bernard, for example. Milano and Bernard will trigger and they'll shoot gaps and dip under guys. Dorian was just going through people. It didn't matter if you were a tight end, if you were a guard, if you were an offensive tackle, and how they used him as that guy, almost like a battering ram at times. It really fits his style. And again, I think, you said it, him playing fast. I think he was able to play fast because he didn't have to do too much thinking. And this one, that one was really great for me in terms of like a processing standpoint, because he sees it as you got here, see ball, get ball, good tackling technique, but he processes what's going on, doesn't get fooled. His eyes are on Stroud, and then the angle that he takes to beat the climbing tackle, get underneath him, and then scoop right to Cade Stover, and then make the tackle in space, gets him right on that ankle, turns, wraps. That was a really nice job of just him being able to put it all together. It wasn't just, a lot of it was the violence and the downhill aggression and how they activated him by just sending him over and over. But he had a couple nice mental reps as well that tied into the physical. It was really encouraging.
Here's another play. He's processing the D-line and the ball. And again, that tackling technique, he's a very aggressive tackler. That he's an impactful tackler. And watch him wrap this. You see him run through that arm block right there, undercut. And again, he's reading the D tackle, the nose tackle in front of him, as this guy, I think it's Daquan, sliding down the line of scrimmage. He knows that that's covered over here, especially when you have pursuit. So he undercuts, and he's got that athleticism to undercut and shoot this gap. But then watch him wrap up after he swats that hand away. Watch him wrap up right here. Right arm on the thigh pad. Now watch his left foot. It's like an ankle pick in wrestling. Little ankle pick. He's wrapped up and he's rolled. He's brought down. He played so fast downhill versus run. He did such a great job. He was, me, I love linebackers, but again, this is the different element he brings. He's just blowing shit up, man. I love it. I love it so much. Bernard and Milano are guys that like to elude tackles. Well, Dorian has the physicality, he has the length, the long arms, the aggression, that mentality. You see him just going to blow things up. Him and Bernard, meet at the running back there. I just loved the style that he brought against the Texans.
Yeah, it was really nice to see, especially on a day where the defense needed some juice and adding that physical element. This one, and again, you have highlighted their timing, length, and violence. The length is what does it for me, and the hand placement. You see that right hand. It's easy to see because it's taped up.
That dude
up. Yeah, right. Like he gets right into. This is an offensive tackle. This is a big man. He gets under him, granted, low man wins, but watch him get under and then extend a little bit. Use that length, that power, gets right into the neckline, and then uses his left hand and just chucks him.
Yeah.
And now he gums up that tight end who's trying to come across.
Yeah.
So he gums up the blocking scheme and just helps force the running back basically into unblocked Bills defenders. Bishop's sitting there leveraging the hole. Bernard's scraping over the top. Rasul's coming from the outside. He forces that running back into danger because he jacks up the tackle and jacks him up into the tight end who was coming across. Basically takes out two guys in one scoop.
Yeah, man. He was just playing so fast. You see it once again here from this angle. I just love again him using his athleticism and his ability to stack and shed and find the ball. And again, it's just a different element that he brings when he's close to the line of scrimmage. You can see the hand placement we talked about in the last play. You see it once again here, and he's just doing whatever it takes. He's doing whatever it takes to get off the block, to defeat that block, to find the ball, and eventually squeezes through there to bring down the running back. Man, I am so happy he's gotten the reps that he has this year when we're talking versus the run, but also, in pass coverage, he is developing in that area. But when we're talking stopping the run, Anthony, and we're talking, some of these plays of run stops and stopping some of these runners for the Texans. I mean, overall, according to PFF, he's 8th in run stop percentage against the run. He had 7 run stops against the Texans, and you saw pretty much all of them. I think I left out a couple of them, but you saw what he brought to stopping the run game. And I think it goes back to what you said about the Ravens and how they were, kind of bullying the Bills. This front seven, took that at heart in that film. On Monday after the game, they're like, you know what, that's embarrassing. That's not our style. And I think they used Dorian as that weapon to set the tone on a lot of the plays that I said that the Ravens use and concepts that the Ravens use, a lot of these I formations, downhill type plays to get some good runs against the Bills front last week. The Texans were not able to do that against the Bills defensive front. And again, that was led by Dorian Williams.
Yeah, a tremendous performance in this one. And you highlighted, the run stop percentage and how many stops he had versus the Texans. And then even just on the year, he's second amongst linebackers with 20% of reps in stops at 15. He's only behind EJ Speed for the Indianapolis Colts. And then also tying it into the stop percentage, you mentioned him being 8th. Bernard is at some less games because of the injury. He's 3rd in stop percentage. So you got 2 linebackers who were just hunting, but doing it in different ways. Like you mentioned, Bernard and Milano were very similar in that mold, trigger, shoot, elude defenders, you're dipping under, you're moving, you're using that athleticism and agility and attacking shoulders and angles. And Dorian's a little bit of more of a hammer. But what I liked in this game, and we showed it in the one where you talked about where he stacked and he shed, that's been an issue where sometimes he's just playing too much contact or he's getting into a defender's chest or allowing them to get into him using his length, using his hands, and not just being a pure battering ram, but playing with more intention behind the physicality and the violence. That was really exciting to see, and how it paired in conjunction with how they attack the run schematically as a defense. A lot of these clips were showing, you can see Cole Bishop is already in the box or he's spinning down on the snap. They made a concerted effort to make sure they were not out-gapped, to make sure they instead were gapped out. They were sound. They're, crossing face of offensive linemen on the D line. They're not getting reached. And then because of those quick triggers at the second level, double teams aren't staying on as long at the first level.
Yes.
It was nice to see from the defense as a whole. And then obviously, Bernard and Dorian Williams in this particular instance.